I see it as a very important session. And to me, when we were planning the program, we really wanted to have a dynamic session where we could talk about present challenges to us. We've been inspired in many ways, both through our own reflections, through the presentations by international panelists. I hope we've been inspired even by those bureaucratic tasks that we had to go through these last days of approving budgets, auditors, and then a strategic framework and changes in the statutes. And of course, we've been inspired and encouraged by our Holy Father this morning. And so now I think we need to look at what do we do next? Do we simply pack up the papers, maybe throw many of them away, and then wait for another 4 years and say, we didn't do anything in between, and why weren't we more active? Or do we think about the current challenges that we have to face as a church and as a world? And we wanted to make sure that this session focused on the people, not only on issues, not only on big plans, but really on the people who are most affected. Now, I know all of you are involved in serving people, and we couldn't possibly bring in every issue that you've raised, but we have tried to look at different parts of the world and have people who are working very, very hard with those who are most affected by migrant and refugee challenges today. And so, but before we did that, we wanted to start out with someone who's known the experience of being a refugee, and then also known the experience of being integrated in his new society, his new country, and also in the church in that country. And for that reason, we've asked Bishop Vincent Long, who's the Bishop of Paramatta in Australia, and also the chair of the Bishops' Conference of Australia Commission on Refugees and Migrants, to share with us his experience. So, Bishop, you are very welcome.
Thank you, Bob. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share my experience as a former refugee who struggled to integrate into the local church and society in Australia. I was born and raised during the Civil War in Vietnam. On my way to Rome, I had to endure 21 hours of flying time. So in order to pass the time, I watched a series called Vietnam War, which was put out by some group in America. And it proves that the Vietnam War is still a theme regularly visited by not just the American people, but by many who are still interested in the war and its impact. It was a war that many in the West could not come to terms with, even years after it had been waged, fought, finally abandoned, and then, at least from our point of view, tragically lost. But truth has a habit of revealing itself in hindsight, when at the end of the war, instead of celebrating the unification as some had expected, millions of Vietnamese refugees took to the sea in order to escape the communist regime. We Vietnamese people were never known to be nomadic or migrant people. Never in our long and checkered history has there been such a mass exodus of people from our own land. Not even when the French ruled and exploited us for close to 100 years, or the Japanese caused thousands to die of starvation during the Second World War. The communist regime outdid them all by their reign of terror, which was the reason for the biggest, the most tragic, and the most unprecedented exodus in our history. I'm not here to tell you all the evils of communism. Perhaps I'll leave that to Cardinal Zen of Hong Kong. It suffices to say that the Exodus was the testament to the indomitable desire to live in freedom, in dignity, in every human being, whether they're Vietnamese of 40 years ago or the Syrians of today. We are living witnesses to freedom and fundamental human values denied to us in our own country. Personally, I am a second-generation refugee. By that I mean my parents and even grandparents themselves were refugees before me. In 1954, following the Geneva Convention that divided Vietnam into two sides, two ideologically opposing sides, just like North Korea and South Korea today, my parents uprooted themselves from their home near Hanoi and ventured to the south, a journey of close to 2,000 kilometers. And they escaped by a small boat and went to a part of the country that they knew nothing about. In 1980, that is 5 years after the fall of Saigon, I left Vietnam on a small boat, which was literally packed to the rafters with fellow refugees. The journey took 7 long days, and by the third day, we had already run out of food, fuel, and water. Hunger, thirst, and despair followed us until the day we were plucked out of the sinking boat and placed on a refugee camp in Malaysia. But we were the lucky ones. Thousands upon thousands of boat people did not make it to land alive. One study estimates that up to 500,000 out of the 2 million Vietnamese boat people perished in the pursuit of freedom and human dignity. Without a doubt, this was the darkest episode in the history of the Vietnamese people, and it is something that we will never forget. For this, I have adopted as my Episcopal coat of arms the image of a journey into freedom. It symbolizes both the spiritual exodus that I, as a Christian, am called to make, and the real painful quest for liberty that I and countless other boat people like myself made. My Episcopal motto, Duc in autem, meaning launch into the deep, is in part meant to honor the memory of my people who suffered and died in pursuing that quest, that dream of living in freedom and human dignity. As far as I know, I am the only Vietnamese-born bishop whose coat of arms features the South Vietnamese flag and the refugee heritage. And this is why I am today considered a persona non grata to the communist government in Vietnam, which means I may not be able to visit my homeland as long as the communist government is in power. God works mysteriously as far as the role of the Vietnamese Catholics in Australia is concerned. At my Episcopal ordination, I made a tongue-in-cheek remark that we, the Vietnamese, are the new Irish, and I think that is true in a lot of ways. For a long time, Ireland had the surplus of priests and nuns, and many of them came to fill the gap in Australia. Now, it is the Vietnamese who help ease the shortage and change the face of the Catholic Church in Australia, at least temporarily. There are up to 150 Vietnamese-born priests working in Australia, a highly disproportionate figure given a much smaller percentage of Vietnamese Catholics there. Similarly, the seminaries and religious institutes across the country often experience the same phenomenon. Ordinary Vietnamese Catholics too are making their presence felt. Not only are they active in their centers scattered all over the country, Vietnamese Catholics are involved in all sorts of ways for the good of the church and society. Wherever they are, there is more participation and vitality than otherwise possible. I guess you could say the same about other ethnic groups who are known for their strong faith. What is unique about the Vietnamese Catholics in Australia is the experience of being forced to leave their own country in a very traumatic fashion. I consider it my vocation to tell others that vulnerable people wanting to have a better life, a better future for themselves and their children should not be seen simply as a burden and a liability to our society. They can become great contributors and builders of the church and society. The experience of the Vietnamese refugees is clear evidence that even the most traumatized and the most impoverished group can be integrated in our multicultural society and can make a positive contribution. The fear that our social cohesion might be undermined or that the very future of the country might be compromised on account of an imaginary yellow peril has been proven unfounded. Today, Asian Australians have joined the mainstream in every aspect of our Australian society. Australia has evolved to become a much more dynamic, diverse, and prosperous nation. The Vietnamese refugees are just part of the richly textured tapestry of Australia. They were by no means the only group that had to struggle hard for acceptance and integration. Each successive generation of migrants and refugees has to overcome enormous odds in adapting to their new life in Australia. The post-war refugees from Europe suffered no less hardship, adversity, and even discrimination. They were the ground troops of the economy, often working on massive infrastructure projects that provided the foundation for a prosperous Australia that we inherit today. To be sure, each group presents its own challenge to Australia, and yet this nation has consistently risen to the challenge and become more enriched as a result. In recent times, Australia, I'm sad to say, seems to have failed to live up to its best tradition as a generous and compassionate society. To many, we have demeaned ourselves when we, or at least our government, have adopted harsh and unprincipled policies towards asylum seekers and refugees. It embarrasses me, it pains me to witness the dismantling of the country's long-held tradition of welcoming migrants and refugees. That tradition is even enshrined in our national anthem. It says in part, For those who've come across the seas, we've got boundless plains to share. It is fortuitous that today I am a spokesperson for the Australian Catholic Bishops' Conference on many social justice issues, and particularly on refugee and asylum seeker issue. In recent times, I have found myself a critic of the Australian government's policy of indefinite detention. They detain indefinitely asylum seekers, including proven refugees, on Manus Island in Papua New Guinea and Nauru. My background as a boat person, a refugee, enables me to have a personal affinity to fellow refugees. It is my hope that the Church, both local and universal, especially with the leadership of Pope Francis, can be a voice for the voiceless and advocate for their rights and human dignity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bishop Long, for sharing your experiences and your commitment to both the New Society and Church, as well as to the people that came from Vietnam and from throughout Southeast Asia. We also thank you for sharing the challenges to the Church and to society as a whole that we face today. I'd like to now call on Bishop Gervas Rozario, who is the Bishop of Rashami. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Bishop. And he's also the president of Caritas Bangladesh, and he's the focal person for ICMC relationships between the Bangladesh Episcopal Conference and ICMC. And I think I mentioned in my report yesterday that 2 days ago, that we were very pleased to be able to partner with Caritas Bangladesh in your reaching out to the Rohingya refugees that have been pouring into the country. So we're looking forward to hearing more about that work and the challenges that they pose.
Good afternoon. And a lot of greetings from Bangladesh to all of you. I'm here to talk about the Rohingya refugees who have taken shelter in Bangladesh. This Rohingya problem is a very complex problem which has its historical, political, cultural backgrounds, and it's difficult to see any solution as it is we see now. Rohingya Muslim people lived for hundreds of years in Arakan, a district of Rakhine State of Myanmar. Arakan is just across the Naf River in the district of Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh. They were forcefully evicted and their houses were burned. After the army crackdown on 25th August 2017, in order to save their lives, they crossed the border and entered Bangladesh in big groups. By now, the number of the new arrivals is more than 700,000, and together with the old Rohingya refugees, almost 400,000, who came in Bangladesh about 27 years ago, the total number stands now about 1,100,000. Initially, Bangladeshi border guards tried to stop them entering into Bangladesh, but now Seeing their plight and desperate condition, government of Bangladesh opened the border for them to take safe shelter. The government of Bangladesh took adequate measures to help these poor refugees with the help of the national and international organizations and communities. In order to prepare an integrated plan of action, NGO Bureau was delaying permission to the NGOs to relief operations while the newcomers were suffering hunger. In the month of September last, His Eminence Cardinal Patrick de Rozario, Archbishop of Dhaka, and the President of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Bangladesh visited the Rohingya refugees and gave on behalf of the local church a donation of 1 million Bangladesh taka to the District Commissioner of Cox's Bazar for food support. Right from the beginning, Caritas Bangladesh was working in the places where the Rohingyas were taking shelter in order to help them whatever ways possible. The place falls in the Archdiocese of Chittagong, so the Most Reverend Archbishop Moses Costa visited the Rohingya refugees many times and directed the pastoral personnel and staff of Caritas to take different measures to provide the suffering people with every possible support. In the month of October, as President of Caritas Bangladesh, I, along with the directors of Caritas Bangladesh, visited Rohingya refugee camps. By then, the government granted permission to some NGOs, including Caritas Bangladesh, to start the relief operations. The local church is very actively involved in the relief operation through Caritas now. When Holy Father Pope Francis visited Bangladesh from 31 November to 2 December 2017, the plight of the Rohingya people was a big issue. All the people of the country were waiting to see what the Pope would say and do about this issue. The CBCB asked the Caritas Bangladesh to bring a small group of Rohingya refugees to present to the Holy Father on 1 December in the civic reception. The whole world saw the Holy Father, Pope Francis, held the hands of each one of 15 refugees and heard the stories of their sufferings in the hands of Myanmar army. Holy Father blessed them, prayed with them, and asked the international community to help mitigate this humanitarian disaster. The people of Bangladesh were taken by surprise and wondered that the leader of the Catholic Church could do so much for these people, though they are all Muslims. The people of Bangladesh appreciated this move of His Holiness and are very grateful to him. Bangladesh government and as well as the general public feels that these people, after a temporary stay in Bangladesh, should return to their home and live there as full citizen with all human rights, dignities, and privileges of a citizen. If they continue to stay there, the situation will be very complex even more, and it will be a humanitarian disaster within the disaster. And moreover, if they continue to stay in the area where they are now, not only it will be a problem for themselves, but it will be a cultural problem because the local people there, they, for many reasons now, they are having negative outlook against these people because of the situation that is arriving now for their big number and their livelihood is conflicting with the local people, because of the these people are getting food, whereas the local people are, as they are also poor, they are not getting enough. So there is a kind of a jealousy and conflict. And in the labor market also, these people are working in a cheaper rate, and the people who arrived, they are having at least, even though they don't have good shelter, but they are having enough food. Myanmar and Bangladesh have made an agreement that gradually Myanmar will repatriate the Rohingyas, but as of now, we do not see any progress of implementation. International communities here should help to solve this problem. Our fear is that it will not be easy to solve this problem. However, the Catholic Church there is deeply involved and trying to help these poor people, these suffering people, in whatever way is possible through the activities of Caritas. Now I request the personnel to show the slide shows. You can see now some pictures, what the Caritas is doing in the pictures. Please run it. This is Cox's Bazar district where the Rohingya people are staying now. Next one. Caritas is doing now ongoing site development and improvement across all zones. More than 1,000 emergency shelter kits distributed, 3 deep tube wells constructed, 2 in progress, 39 latrines in progress. And shelter and settlements, the shelters made by Caritas, involving the Rohingya people, their site development. The people, Rohingya people themselves, are working for their own shelters. Wash system. The deep tube well and tube wells are supplying waters, and latrines.
Bishop, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we will put all of these slides up on the Dropbox, so everyone will have them. But what we need to include the time for other speakers too. So thank you very much.
Okay.
I think this is a really important message to us about reminding ourselves of the many humanitarian emergencies that are still present in the world, migration-related and refugee-related emergencies. Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you.
Now I would like to call on Sister Rosita Milesi. We're going to switch oceans and continents and now have Sister Rosita talk with us about the situation of refugees and migrants in Brazil, which for the most part has at least offered social protection to them, but also I'm sure there are many challenges. And then after Sister Rosita, Bishop Misael from Colombia has a short video as well. So, thank you. And Sister Rosita will speak in Spanish.
Bueno, le pido que empiecen la diapositiva de algunas fotografías iniciales. Solo un minuto para algunas fotografías iniciales. ¿Por qué presento esta fotografía? Porque miren que la madre tiene en su rostro la bandera de Venezuela y la niña tiene en su rostro la bandera de Brasil. Y esta familia, esta madre con la niña y con otras personas de la familia están viviendo en las calles de Roraima, en el estado del norte del país. Entonces, solo para ubicar un poco, algunas fotografías de cómo están los migrantes venezolanos que están llegando a Brasil. Aquí está un espacio donde viven allí muy mal, casi 1000 personas y muchos niños, en un abrigo como este, en donde estuvimos la semana pasada con 2 obispos y un equipo de la Conferencia Episcopal de Brasil. En uno de esos espacios encontramos así, en donde vivían 500 personas, el espacio era para 200 y había 280 niños y niñas. Entonces, mira solo para decirle que es una preocupación muy grande que tenemos con la migración reciente que estamos recibiendo en Brasil y que Brasil está muy lento para darles condiciones dignas. Es la migración venezolana, que es un punto fuerte de lo que vivimos en este momento. Algunas fotos, solo muy rápidamente. Aquí estamos, la semana pasada, estuvimos en una misión, allí en el estado de Roraima, y con 2 obispos y con un equipo de la Conferencia Episcopal, en donde hemos estado en contacto con toda esta realidad. Aquí para ver, que está con 2 niñas también es el obispo que estuvo con nosotros y que es el presidente de la Comisión Episcopal Especial para el Enfrentamiento a la Trata de Personas. Bueno, aquí está, para que tengan una idea, el movimiento de la migración venezolana. A nivel de América Latina, evidentemente, no voy a hablar de América Latina, entonces no me voy a ocupar de varios otros puntos que otras personas tal vez hablen. Msgr Guillermo ya habló un poco de México, tenemos otras realidades, pero a nivel de América Latina, uno de los grandes retos que tenemos ahora es la cuestión de la migración venezolana. Según se sabe, más de 4 millones de personas han dejado el país en los últimos 2 años. Y allí está un poco en qué estados, en qué países vecinos, o también afuera de la región, algunos en Estados Unidos y muchos en España, pero los demás todos en países de la región, en donde están en gran número los venezolanos. En Colombia, el grupo más numeroso, aquí da como casi 600.000, sabemos que son mucho más, esos son datos oficiales. Ecuador, Panamá, España, Chile, Perú, Brasil, Argentina, Estados Unidos. Pero bueno, solo para tener una idea de esta gran emigración que sucede prácticamente en los últimos 2 años. Y es un gran reto para nosotros y sobre todo para Brasil, porque Brasil, por no tener grandes flujos migratorios a lo largo de muchos años, no tiene, y también es muy lento en establecer políticas migratorias, en tener modos de recibir los migrantes. Bueno, entonces ahora me voy a ocupar un poco de comentar algo sobre Brasil. Además de estas fotos, solo para que tengan una idea de la preocupación de lo que se pasa en nuestra región, quería comentarles lo siguiente. En Brasil tenemos migrantes calificados, migrantes que vienen ya con visa regularmente y que son de muchos países, y no me voy a ocupar de esto, pero tenemos gran número así. No podemos comparar con lo que sucede en otros países, porque efectivamente sería casi una vergüenza decir que Brasil tiene dificultad por los números que tenemos frente a otros países, a otras regiones, sobre todo también ahora sobre todo cuando escuchábamos sobre Bangladesh, por ejemplo, y tantos otros. Pero la verdad es que Brasil no tiene políticas migratorias. Recién logramos aprobar una ley y faltan muchas estructuras. Entonces, actualmente, en términos de solicitantes de refugio, Brasil tiene más o menos 86.000 pedidos de refugio pendientes de solución. Es un número muy largo, mitad de estos son venezolanos. Tenemos en este total de solicitantes de refugio, tenemos Venezuela, Haití, Cuba, Angola, China, Senegal, Síria, Paquistán y Bangladesh, algunos otros países africanos como Nigeria, Congo, Guinea-Bissau y muchos otros. Tenemos refugiados, no tantos, pero son de muchas nacionalidades. Los reconocidos son de 80 diferentes nacionalidades. Pero estos pendientes son muchos y son las personas que vienen de situaciones muy sufridas o pobres y que entran en Brasil casi todos sin visa y al llegar entonces presentan solicitud de refugio. Muchos efectivamente, tienen todos los requisitos para refugio, pero el gobierno es lento en decidir las solicitudes y muchos de ellos no tienen los prerequisitos para refugio. Pero como al llegar en Brasil no me encuentran, vienen por fronteras terrestres, porque pasan por América Latina y entran por varias fronteras, al llegar a Brasil presentan solicitud de refugio porque no hay otra solución que puedan utilizar. Y la ley de Brasil garantiza a cualquier persona pedir refugio. En la frontera la policía no tiene derecho de decidir si sí o no. Si la persona dice quiero pedir, tiene que aceptar. ¿Cuáles son los más grandes desafíos que tenemos? El desempleo, la pérdida de derechos, la dificultad económica y política, la corrupción y la falta de políticas. Quiero subrayar entonces sobre todo la cuestión de los migrantes venezolanos. Están en un estado del norte del país. Tengo que seguir rápido porque ya se pasa el tiempo. Están en el norte del país, en un estado pobre, en la región amazónica, lejos de todas las posibilidades de irse a otras regiones del país. Por ello que al entrar poco más de 45.000 personas que han entrado en los últimos 2 años en un estado pobre y que no tiene condiciones, están en una situación muy difícil, muy precaria, terrible, podemos decir, el modo como los vemos ahora allí. Por ello, la Iglesia se ha movimentado mucho y una de las actividades que la Iglesia de Brasil siempre ha hecho con mucha fuerza y que sigue haciendo es la cuestión de las políticas públicas y de actuar frente o junto al gobierno para avanzar en la protección. En este sentido, además de las iniciativas que la Iglesia tiene, que son alimentación, por ejemplo, allí es un reto muy grande, la gente está pasando hambre. Lloraba una madre la semana pasada que decía, yo huí de Colombia, de Venezuela, por hambre. Ahora llego aquí y no encuentro comida porque efectivamente está muy precaria la situación. Hay casas de acogida por parte de la Iglesia, hay la presencia muy amable de la Iglesia, pero también allí la iglesia es pobre. Entonces ahora estamos ya en campañas nacionales, la Conferencia de los Obispos muy ocupada en avanzar, en apoyar y llevar a esta región el apoyo que necesitan. Trabajamos mucho con la parte de documentación, por lo menos en este sentido, los migrantes están protegidos. Casi todos los que llegan de Colombia tienen documentación. Bueno, yo veo que el tiempo está terminando. Yo quería solo que entonces presentaran. Tengo muchas cosas para decir, pero no importa, tenemos mucha oportunidad. La verdad es que quiero compartir así. La iglesia está presente, la iglesia es muy actuante, la iglesia busca hacer todo lo que puede, pero efectivamente sufrimos por falta de políticas y por falta de actuación del gobierno. Por ello, nuestra solicitud. Y yo llevé hoy una carta, entregué al Papa la copia de una carta que estos obispos que estuvieron con nosotros la semana pasada presentaron a la sociedad brasileña. Muy dura en el sentido de decir, ¿qué se ve? Yo me emociono de ver, porque efectivamente, le digo, es muy triste llegar en Brasil, un país que tiene comida, no se puede decir que no hay, pero llegar allí y encontrar a la gente que llora de hambre. Es muy triste. Y a veces porque el gobierno no se mueve, lleva mucho tiempo. Me da pena de pensar, perdón si tengo esta reacción, ver la gente viviendo en las calles. Tuvimos la misa, las familias venían con sus pertenencias, porque viven por la calle, entraba en la iglesia cargando el poco que tenían, porque no tienen en dónde tener un sitio. Entonces, como es muy reciente, yo he estado muchas veces allí, por un año entero casi, entonces me emociona un poco, perdón. Bueno, yo quería solo que presentara tal vez 2 diapositivas finales para que vean los niños, porque yo quería decirles que una de las grandes preocupaciones efectivamente son los niños. El Papa le dijo a ellos cuando en un encuentro que sus pequeños gestos pueden cambiar el mundo, pero creo que sí. Los gestos de los niños, de los adolescentes, de los jóvenes, dependen de nosotros también, dependen de lo que la sociedad les ofrece. Depende de cuánto los dejamos sufrir por falta de asistencia. Dependen de lo que la sociedad en su modo de actuar les proporciona, y también depende del sufrimiento por el cual pasan. Entonces me parece que los niños y las madres, las mujeres, son grupos para los cuales nosotros como iglesia tenemos que mirarlos con particular cariño. Sé porque lo merecen, sé porque efectivamente son las personas más que se encuentran en estos caminos migratorios y de refugio en situación muy, muy vulnerable. Mi tiempo terminó y nada, les doy las gracias con la última diapositiva para que vean. ¿Puede pasar la última solo? El señor. La última diapositiva. Ah, que está aquí. ¿Dónde está? Un momento, yo creo que está ahí. ¿No? Sí. Para que vean, en un abrigo en donde estuve, los niños son tantos que es así. Cuando se entra, hay casi miles de niños allí esperando el tiempo pasar. Muchas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias a usted, hermana Rosita. Y es muy, muy importante para nosotros como católicos, pero también como ICMC, CICM, de tener siempre en nuestro corazón el sufrimiento y así la esperanza de los refugiados y los migrantes en el mundo. Y hoy es el Día Internacional de la Mujer. Y creo que no digo que solamente las mujeres pueden recordarnos de estos sentimientos, pero son muy, muy fuertes en este. Y espero que CICM siempre tenía esta sensibilidad. Podemos hablar mucho de las estrategias y también los planes y también finanzas, pero tenemos que siempre mantener el corazón de acompañar a los refugiados y los migrantes, y usted nos ha recordado de esto. Gracias. Now I'd like to, we had a special request from Bishop Misael Vaca Ramirez from Colombia, who is also a country that's receiving many of the Venezuelan refugees, as Sister Rosita already told us, and he has a very brief video, 5 minutes, that he's going to share with us. So can we show the video now, please?
Diócesis de Cúcuta, testigo de la caridad de Cristo en la frontera. Desde que se originó la crisis humanitaria, debido a la expulsión de ciudadanos colombianos residentes en Venezuela por parte del gobierno de ese país, la Diócesis de Cúcuta, atendiendo al llamado del Señor de vivir la caridad, extendió su ayuda a los connacionales, que dejaron todas sus pertenencias en el vecino país y emigraron hacia Colombia. Ante la crisis que viven tantos hermanos nuestros colombo-venezolanos, que llegan a la capital norte santanderiana, la Diócesis de Cúcuta, pastoreada por Monseñor Víctor Manuel Ochoa Cadavid, consciente de que la caridad de Cristo nos urge, decide abrir la Casa de Paso Divina Providencia, en la parroquia San Pedro Apóstol, en el sector de La Parada, para brindar a los hermanos venezolanos una atención humanitaria ante sus necesidades. Casa de Paso Divina Providencia es el nombre del lugar que brinda ayuda material, pastoral y espiritual a los miles de venezolanos que día a día cruzan la frontera, en busca de productos de primera necesidad, alimento, medicamentos, artículos de aseo, entre otros, y mejores condiciones de vida. La Casa de Paso cuenta con una extensión de más de 1.500 metros cuadrados en los que se atienden alrededor de 1.500 personas, con una ración diaria de comida, agua, pan y café, que con la ayuda de sacerdotes, seminaristas, movimientos apostólicos, comunidades parroquiales, religiosos, religiosas y personas de buena voluntad alimentan a niños, adultos, mujeres embarazadas y ancianos que llegan a este lugar. La Diócesis de Cúcuta quiere vivir la caridad y este es un espacio de servicio a los más pobres y necesitados, que es posible gracias a la solidaridad de los fieles. De otra parte, para atender a los venezolanos y familias que llegan a la ciudad, de manera especial a las periferias, la Diócesis de Cúcuta creó los comedores de caridad, ubicados en los diferentes sectores de la ciudad. Específicamente, Parroquia Nuestra Señora del Rosario en el municipio de Villa del Rosario, Parroquia La Dolorosa en el barrio Camilo Daza, Parroquia Jesús Cautivo en La Ermita, Parroquia La Sagrada Familia, Parroquia San Antonio de Padua en el centro de la ciudad, Parroquia Inmaculado Corazón de María y Parroquia Nuestra Señora de Fátima en el municipio de Los Patios, en los que se ofrece una ración diaria de comida, alcanzando una cifra aproximada, hasta enero del 2018, de 307.000 almuerzos para los hermanos venezolanos y para las personas necesitadas de la ciudad. Además, en estos lugares también se ofrecen ayuda a través de servicios de salud, asesoría psicológica y orientación jurídica. Asimismo, se brinda un servicio especial de atención a los más pobres a través de las Hermanas de la Caridad Madre Teresa de Calcuta. A su vez, la Diócesis de Cúcuta ayuda a los migrantes venezolanos con el Centro de Migración Pedro Rubiano Sáenz, en donde se brinda temporalmente servicio de alojamiento, comida y asistencia psicológica a personas que vienen a la ciudad en busca de oportunidades de vida. El servicio de esta iglesia particular que peregrina en la zona de frontera es permanente y se fundamenta en la persona de Jesús, que siempre estuvo cerca de los pobres, abatidos y desposeídos. Han pasado más de 2 años y aunque sortiendo muchas dificultades, la ayuda ha permanecido y con la gracia de Dios, el Señor bendice a nuestra iglesia diocesana, suscitando en los fieles la generosidad de aportar, ayudar y servir en esta obra de caridad. La diócesis de Cúcuta, recordando las palabras del Papa Francisco, de que no existe una iglesia sin caridad, continúa ayudando a los necesitados en la zona de frontera. Diócesis de Cúcuta, testigo de la caridad de Cristo en la frontera.
Muchas gracias, Monseñor Vacas Ramírez, porque nos ha recordado el rol, el papel llave de la caridad, pero también oremos que estos gestos de caridad nos inspirarán de luchar para la justicia en el mundo, para la reconciliación y de superar la violencia en este mundo. Gracias. And now I would like to call on, again, we're skipping continents and oceans, but I'd like to ask Monsignor Francis Ndamira, who is the Executive Director of Caritas Uganda, and also our ICMC National Member Organization from Uganda, and had a long service to ICMC on its governing committee many years ago, to share with us the situation of the Church's response in Uganda to the situation of South Sudanese refugees.
Thank you very much. First of all, the Greater Sudan, which is the North and then South Sudan, during the 50s and 60s was faced by civil wars among themselves. So it's a paradox. The Arabs in the north were oppressing the Christians in the south, and the story you know. But then in early 2000, when they got independence, eventually, then the war rose among the tribes themselves. So they started murdering each other, and people started completely displaced and going out, running out in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in Uganda, and some even in Congo. So it becomes a paradox. At the moment, literally, almost the place is empty. And we are neighboring, so they are easy to come to Uganda. Now, my communication with you is that the government of Uganda has been open not to put these refugees in camps, but in a settlement. And consequently, Caritas Uganda has used it as an opportunity to develop these people as we are developing our local Ugandan citizens. That's the most important thing. Make them active, make them provide their own food, as well as a supplement to what they get from UNHCR. So the balanced diet and the nutrition for the children is just really doing a lot. And because of Caritas Uganda's work we have done, the UNHCR has also asked all the NGOs in Uganda dealing with refugees to go on for livelihoods. People are very active and always working like the others. And also, Ugandan government not cause internal conflicts with the refugees coming in. 30% of our budget is devoted to the host communities. We do the same programs for the host communities neighboring as well as the refugees. So these are the major things I would like you to know, and also know that people are really active. They are doing a lot. They achieve. They are very happy in their own way because they are refugees, but they are being treated as Ugandans. So I will just read what I have written here. The Ugandan has experienced a steady influx of refugees since 2016, mainly from Southern Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo due to political instability and war in the two countries. And in January 2018, there were about 1.3 million and following refugees and asylum seekers in Uganda. Of these, 1 million and 3 were refugees and asylum. Sorry. Of these 1,300,036,898 were Southern Sudanese, and the rest is there. They're from different places. But per UNHCR projection, the number of refugees asylum in Uganda is likely to increase to 1.8 very shortly. And the diagrams here shows where the refugees are being resettled. So each family is given 30 square feet. Each household is given 30 square feet. And we are using this in the modern farming for what you call kitchen gardens. And the government recently, having seen that has done a lot, they has added 50 square feet. So in all, it is 80 square feet of piece of land for the refugees. In Uganda, refugees live in the settlements, as I said. Each refugee family is given 80 square feet, and the refugees enjoy all rights under Ugandan law except voting, such as employment, free movement, acquisition of property, and also education. Ugandan government is commitment to the refugees cause is further reflected in the inclusion of refugees response in the country's national development plan. Uganda also hosted the Refugee Solidarity Summit in 2017, June, and embraced the multi-stakeholder refugee and host population empowerment re-hope strategy. The frameworks and efforts together with the Refugees Act of 2006 and the 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees and its 1967 protocol are the guiding documents for Ugandan response. Now, the contribution of the church. In Uganda, migration and refugee response is an integral part of Caritas Uganda. Our refugee response has grown significantly in the last 1 year. We have found support in political goodwill and Caritas Confederation under Caritas Internationalis. We have implemented projects in Bidibidi, that's the largest settlement camp, since October 2017. We work with the local diocesan Caritas, Arua, in whose jurisdiction the settlements are located. Other dioceses are Gulu and Kotido in the north. We stress the dignity of the human person. As a church, we have been steadfast in emphasizing the dignity of the human person and of the family and solidarity among the refugees. We have made the family the main point of entry in all our interventions, and its empowerment and protection emphasized in all projects we implement. We have adopted a do no harm to the family approach in our response and consistently striven empower the family for self-reliance. We have provided farm tools and seeds to about 9,000 households, and also host communities, as I've already explained, and trained the farmers in improved agronomic practices. This has left a big impact on the lives of the participants. Today, about 90 of these households can eat balanced diet and earn some income from their farm produce. Even they are selling them some of the Ugandans. Very, very amazing. We have also supported vocational training for more than 100 youth. These youth are already working and earning a living from their skills. Then another thing we promote is promoting solidarity. We train these households in groups. We have facilitated the formation of farmer groups around the farmer field schools. We train the leaders of the 80 farmer schools in good agronomic practices, who in turn train their peers through farmers, and each trained household took home and practiced the skills on their individual gardens. As a result of this intervention, Caritas literally greened the whole of Zone 2 of Bidibidi settlement with vegetables of all sorts. Apart from promoting knowledge and skills, the solidarity groups have greatly accelerated trauma healing. Many refugees came with deep trauma, having witnessed loved ones killed and raped. And then there are other interventions. There are other equally significant interventions Caritas undertook in its relentless effort to serve them. WASH here is a program that helps especially women. Many women have special needs, and Caritas Uganda is addressing those needs. Peace building, we have peace committees among these communities. So we believe refugee ethnic groups can begin to communicate among themselves as they are living in Uganda. We have also created different village savings and lending associations, like we do for Ugandans. So together with the children, they account for 82% of the refugee population, meaning that the majority of households are headed and managed by women single-handed, and this is very well understood. The environmental protection, here we do the same thing, energy saving stoves, planting trees, and then lessons learned. In the last 1 year, we have learned some important lessons, of which we have shared with other agencies, including the UNHCR and the government of Uganda, through the Office of Prime Minister. And refugees are not passive bystanders in the search for solutions to their predicament. They are an integral part of the solutions. If empowered, the refugees can support themselves, contribute to sustainable peace in their countries of origin and to local economies. And I think this is stressed very hard by Pope Francis. I see someone trying to tell me to stop, but these are photos showing you how different skills they are getting. These are different, as we do for Ugandans, we're doing the same. And allow me to conclude by once again thanking the organizers for this workshop, and also encouraging us to do more and more. But the situation in southern Sudan, the future is grim. There is nowhere we can see. No negotiations, nothing. And the people already in Uganda, they are telephoning those at home, please come here. Life is much better than where you are. So that's the story we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Msgr Ndamira. We've talked a lot about how refugees and migrants are not simply passive recipients of assistance, but that they're active contributors to the society that welcomes them. And you've given us excellent examples, especially when we talk about the greening of the local areas, about their contributions to environmental protection and to peace building among themselves and with others. So I think this really are good examples of the contributions that refugees and migrants make to host societies. And then, of course, we know that many of them also contribute back home to the societies in their countries of origin. As you were speaking, I was thinking about another situation that we should not forget, and that is that not all migrants cross borders, and many of them are internally displaced, and many of them can count less on any kind of protection because they are internally displaced. And there's an example of this in the same background that you gave us, Msgr Ndamira. The people of South Kordofan in Sudan fought for those who were fighting for independence for South Sudan, but they were left out of the peace accords. And every single day, this country of the government and the army of Sudan bombs the people there. The Catholic Church has the only functioning hospital and the only functioning school. And I know I've been in direct contact with people there, and we've invited them to come and give witness at the Council on Human Rights of the UN. The children hear the Antonovs coming, and they warn the teachers that they'd better go into the ditches with the children to be protected. The government has bombed the hospital many times. So let's not forget that, and let's also remember that that's part of the kind of advocacy that we need to do on the global level together with the Holy See, so that we could begin to tell these stories and seek justice at the global level for these people and for many others. Sister Bridget is here and is talking about the situation in Israel right now, especially with some of the African refugees who are being deported. Let's not forget the justice part of this, as well as the charitable part that we must do. So thank you very much for helping us. And now I'd like to call on Sister Gabriella Bottani, who's the coordinator of Talitha. It's a network of religious women throughout the world that's working to respond to the challenges of human trafficking. And I won't say any more because I think Sister Gabriella has a very, very powerful witness that she brings to us. Sister. And I think Sister Gabriella will speak in Italian? Okay.
Sì, parlerò in italiano. Buongiorno e grazie per avermi invitata in una data così importante. L'8 marzo è la festa della donna e sono invitata a parlare di una rete che nasce dall'impegno di donne. La rete Talitha, che molti di voi forse conosceranno con altri nomi, perché è una rete di 22 reti in 76 paesi. Dico solo alcune: in Australia è Accra, negli Stati Uniti the US Catholic Sisters Against Human Trafficking, in Burkina Faso è Talitha Burkina Faso, in Brasile Un Grito per la Vida, in Argentina Red Causai e sono tante altre. Solo per dare un'idea, siamo 1 migliaio di religiose impegnate contro la tratta e a noi si sono uniti già da diverso tempo laici, religiosi, persone anche appartenenti ad altre fedi e altre religioni, insieme per contrastare uno dei principali crimini della nostra epoca, che è la tratta. Parlare di tratta è parlare di violenza. Sono diverse le forme di violenza e oggi, che è l'8 marzo, fatemi parlare della violenza contro le donne, e non a caso, perché il 70%, il 71% delle vittime della tratta sono di sesso femminile, quindi 50% donne, 51% e 20% bambine. Quindi parlare di tratta, una violazione, una violenza che si inserisce nelle vulnerabilità esistenti, molte che abbiamo sentito anche oggi, sono diverse infatti, uomini, donne, bambine e bambini che sono avvicinati dai trafficanti, sono reclutati in contesti di vulnerabilità, tra i quali anche la situazione di migrazione o di rifugiato, per essere poi sfruttati. Quindi parlare di tratta è parlare di gravi violazioni dei diritti umani e parlare allo stesso tempo di soldi, perché è uno dei business che dà e muove tanti soldi. E questo rende molto difficile il contrastarla, proprio perché gli interessi sono grandi a tutti i livelli e chi ci guadagna sono tutti, siamo tutti, oserei dire. E quindi impegnarsi contro la tratta è un cambiamento radicale di mentalità. Siamo in Quaresima, vorrei usare una parola che è quella della conversione. Il primo impegno contro la tratta è un profondo cammino di conversione nelle nostre relazioni, nei modelli di sviluppo, nei modelli economici, nelle relazioni soprattutto che creiamo tra noi. E fatemi dire, una delle cose che dobbiamo affrontare, se vogliamo contrastare la tratta, è anche mettere in discussione e imparare a riorganizzare e a ripensare le relazioni tra uomini e donne. Perché non è un caso che la schiavitù del XXI secolo abbia come principali vittime le donne. Le donne non sono solo il problema e la vittima. Noi donne siamo anche delle risorse di cambiamento. Papa Francesco, parlando ai sindaci circa 2 anni fa, diceva che i cambiamenti contro la tratta verranno dalle periferie. E le periferie non sono le periferie geografiche, sono anche le periferie esistenziali. E nella mia esperienza di donna consacrata impegnata contro la tratta e coordinatrice di una rete mondiale di donne, credo che molto può venire da noi donne, da donne che hanno vissuto, hanno sofferto la violenza della tratta, donne che hanno tentato e che tentano quotidianamente di costruire dei percorsi di vicinanza per proteggere le vittime, per offrire degli spazi di inserimento sociale, ma soprattutto per condividere la loro vita con chi si trova in situazione di vulnerabilità. Perché la leadership delle donne impegnata contro la tratta nasce da questo impegno e dalla condivisione di vita fatta nelle zone rurali, dove le bambine vengono reclutate per essere portate nelle città per lo sfruttamento domestico, nasce per la nostra vicinanza alle donne che sono sfruttate nella prostituzione sulle strade di tante città, nasce dall'accompagnare i migranti, le donne e gli uomini migranti, nasce nei centri di accoglienza per donne vittime di violenza o bambini vittime di violenza. E quindi è una leadership che viene, per usare ancora le parole di Papa Francesco, di chi sente l'odore delle pecore, di una prossimità e di una vicinanza. Non degli esperti solo intellettuali, ma di un'esperienza che viene dall'incontro quotidiano. E questo fa una grande differenza. In questo servizio che mi è stato chiesto ho incontrato diverse persone che sono impegnate contro la tratta a livello internazionale e l'ex ministro delle pari opportunità del governo austriaco, Helga Konrad, che da anni si impegna contro la tratta, mi diceva: Suor Gabriella, voi suore fate la differenza. E questo mi ha colpito, fate la differenza perché chi si impegna contro la tratta, mi creda, lo fa perché ha degli altri interessi. Trafficare persone, trafficare donne, bambini, la tratta di migranti, il traffico di migranti porta soldi a tutti. Tutti hanno dei secondi fini. Papa Francesco, nell'incontro che ha offerto al Comitato per la Giornata Mondiale di Preghiera contro la tratta, ricordava che molti governi si impegnano contro la tratta, ma non hanno interesse a contrastarne realmente le cause. Quindi ci chiediamo, è veramente un interesse a contrastare questi fenomeni oppure si stanno cercando degli altri interessi? Religiose e soprattutto noi lo siamo, io dico sempre, religiose siamo Chiesa, quindi noi come impegno ecclesiale possiamo e dobbiamo portare un impegno, una presenza diversa. Vorrei lasciare alcuni punti fondamentali da associare un po' a quello che è il ruolo della donna, nel ruolo anche di leadership, ma anche il tipo di leaders che noi prepariamo e formiamo per contrastare queste realtà. In questi anni, dal 2007, sono impegnata contro la tratta, mi sono resa conto che dei leaders comunitari, i leaders che abbiamo, sono fondamentali per un approccio che possa dare un impatto significativo. Per cui come formiamo i nostri leaders, in questo come riusciamo a trasformare i nostri agenti di pastorale in leaders capaci di collaborare. Questa per noi è stata una grandissima sfida e lo è tuttora. Ci siamo trovati per tanti anni a lavorare come capi progetto individualmente, da anni stiamo cercando di cambiare la mentalità e vi garantisco che non è facile, soprattutto in contesti come il nostro, dove siamo stati educati molto a una leadership di tipo gerarchico. Ho già parlato, la conversione e il cambiamento per essere luce nella notte, e vi garantisco che ha una ricchezza e una forza enorme poter condividere la vita nella notte, nel buio del dolore della nostra umanità, ma non lo possiamo fare da soli. Dobbiamo sostenerci per non fuggire oppure per non manipolare le situazioni. Quindi essere presenza di luce con una qualità della nostra presenza, per poter resistere insieme. E poi l'altro punto che secondo me è che come Chiesa dobbiamo aiutarci reciprocamente a farci spazio e a sostenerci per aprire le porte delle nostre chiese e farci presenti proprio lì, dove la vita umana è distrutta, dove c'è questa grande sofferenza, perché solo così potremo veramente far brillare quello che è la nostra vocazione cristiana, la nostra vocazione di figlie e figli di Dio nell'annuncio della buona novella e lasciarci convertire e evangelizzare.
Grazie, Suor Gabriella. Ha parlato a noi non soltanto del male orribile della schiavitù in questo mondo, ma anche ci ha ricordato della nostra ignoranza comune di questa situazione. Più di 20 anni fa io ho fondato la coalizione cattolica contro la tratta negli Stati Uniti, insieme alla Presidente delle donne cattoliche nazionali degli Stati Uniti. E sicuramente erano le congregazioni femminili che ci ha accompagnato in questo. Mi ricordo sempre che le suore di Notre Dame erano le prime di venire alla nostra riunione e loro ci hanno informato che a Baltimore, loro casa provinciale, loro hanno scoperto senza sapere niente di questo, che accanto alla loro casa provinciale c'era una casa con schiave. Dunque è molto importante per noi di essere coscienti di questo, di sapere che esiste dappertutto il mondo, e anche lei giustamente ci ha ricordato del ruolo delle donne in questa in confrontazione di questi problemi molto molto gravi. Grazie per tutti che lei fa e anche per il contributo delle suore dappertutto il mondo contro la tratta. And now I would like to again show another brief video. I think I told you the other day that I had hoped that the Friars Minor, the Franciscan fathers and brothers with whom we have a partnership in Lebanon and in Syria, would be able to come and give testimony. They thanked us for our invitation, but reminded us that their pastoral work is more important, and we respect that. But we have the testimony of some young Syrian children refugees from our programs in Jordan. And we'd like to show that, but before we do, I just want to also introduce Mr. Paco Wong, who's from the Taiwan Embassy to the Holy See. He's sitting in the back, and Paco has been very, very helpful to us and to the Vatican section on migrants and refugees to obtain a donation of 2,000 solar radios that we are able now to share with the refugees, the Syrian and Iraqi refugees in Jordan. So, Paco, we thank you. I know how hard you work because we had thousands of emails emails going back and forth, but thank you, and thanks to your government and to the generosity of the Taiwanese people for sharing this with us. Okay, now we'll show the video, please. Yeah, two.
أكثر شيء بتحبه فيه لعلي؟
من نعمل فاشة في المدرسة يزيد زعل، من يعمل هو هوشة أجل زعل. لما أقول له السر ما يخبر حدا، وكمان لما هو بيقول لي عم بخبر.
مين منكم بيتذكر سوريا؟
أنا أتذكر دار. أنا كان في عنا تحويشة كبيرة، كنا زارعين فيها خضار، وفي بالبيت جوا صالون كبير. كنا نلعب بالمشكلات أنا وأخواني. كان في عندهم هيك زراعة بليلة، وفي عندهم بط ووز. كان في عنا كلاب سوريا. كان في عنا دجاجات.
بتحبوا الأردن؟ بتحبوا بيتكم هون؟
بس سوريا أحسن. لا هون أحسن. والله سوريا أحسن. لا هون سوريا أحسن. هون أحسن. هون ما يجي حرب.
سوريا أحسن؟
لا أنا الأردن، لأنه هون ما يجي حرب خالص. في عندي أصحاب كثير هون. هنا البيت حلو. قاعدين مرتاح. يلا عشان بس بعد ما تخلص الحرب أنا بضل بالأردن.
شو رح تعملوا إذا هو رجع على سوريا وأنت ضليت بالأردن؟ كيف بتحكوا مع بعض؟
عادي أراسلي مع تليفون.
I just wanted to point out that we have Osama, who is our head of the Jordan programs, here with us. Osama, are you still here? Okay. So thanks again to you, Osama, and to all of our field staff and throughout the world for all that you do. And the Jordan program has been especially creative in doing things like this. They produced these videos for World Refugee Day last June. And also they were working on the photo project that I've been talking about and I've been offering as gifts to our speakers. So you'll be getting some soon. And also you see the whole exhibit in the coffee area. And now I wanted to make sure that within these presentations that we not only looked at the challenges, which are many, but we also looked at the hope. And we started out with the hope coming from Bishop Long, who certainly shared with us the suffering of the people of Vietnam and other people in Southeast Asia from the wars there. But also you shared with us the hope in terms of their contribution to Australia and your own contribution to Australia and the church and the Universal Church as a bishop, a shepherd of the church. So now I'd like to call on, we're going back to Oceania, and we've kind of done around the world. And actually, I think this is very appropriate since the first beginning of the day and the last end of the day happen in Oceania. And so I'd like to ask Julianne Hickey, who's the director of Caritas Aotearoa, sorry, I'm keep trying, New Zealand, and also our ICMC focal person for the bishops of New Zealand, to share with us some of the education and sensitization she's been doing in New Zealand around the theme of we all have a migration story.
Kia ora, Bob. For the translators at the back, I'm about to speak in a language that you won't be able to translate, but I will do that for the group. Ina mana ina reo tēnā koutou katoa. Greetings to you all people and all beings. Ko Nyangani te maunga, ko Mukavisi te awa. The Nyangani is my mountain, and the Mukavisi is my river. Ko Zimbabwe toku te rangawaiwai. Ko e New Zealand waka rererangi te waka. I'm from Zimbabwe, but the big boat, the waka of Air New Zealand, took me to a new land. Ke Aotearoa New Zealand te kainga INA. So now New Zealand is my home. Te moana nui a Kiwa, te moana. The big ocean of Kiwa, the Pacific Ocean, the ocean of peace, is now my home. Ko Julianne Hickey aho. That is my story, my migration story, and it is one, if you are in New Zealand, that all people will be able to tell you their connections with where they've come from, their ancestry, their heritage, and also where they are now and the land that they stand in. New Zealand, as many of you know, does sit a long way from here, right next door and across the ditch from Australia. And today there is a population of nearly 5 million people from over 180 different ethnicities. If you can put this slides. We're a country that's been shaped by migration. Maori were the first people who made Aotearoa New Zealand their home, and many, many generations before the arrival of others. Each Maori iwi, or tribe, can proudly trace their whakapapa or their ancestry way back to the waka or the canoe upon which their ancestors first arrived in Aotearoa. And much later, the British, continental European peoples, Pacific peoples, the Chinese, and people from different parts of Asia, Africa, South America, and the Middle East have all come to New Zealand. So in New Zealand, we all have a migration story. In terms of our history of welcome, the first time New Zealand formally accepted refugees was in 1944, when 835 Polish refugee children and their guardians arrived during World War II. Then in 1960, New Zealand became a signatory to the 1951 United Nations Convention relating to the status of refugees. But between the years of 1987 and 2016, our refugee quota sat at 750 places, with an additional 300 places through the refugee family reunification category. And compared to many other countries, this is very modest and something that many New Zealanders are embarrassed about. In 2015, as the refugee crisis continued to grow, Cardinal John Dew of the Archdiocese of Wellington and the Anglican Archbishop Philip Richardson together sent an open letter to the Prime Minister urging action to increase the numbers of refugees we accept. Together they held a conference where the Catholic and Anglican churches offered support to welcome refugee families to New Zealand. And each Catholic diocese appointed a person to coordinate parish support for refugee families settled in New Zealand. If I have time, I will show you a short video that we created of this welcome. But I'd now like to move on to what we do every year in September in New Zealand. Catholic communities across New Zealand take time to get involved in Social Justice Week. So of the nearly 5 million people living in New Zealand, about 500,000 identify as Catholics. We have over 200 parishes, and we have over 250 Catholic schools, with over 60,000 children in those schools. And during Social Justice Week, in the Catholic calendar, we're dedicated to reflection and action on a particular current social justice issue. And the theme for each year is recommended by the board and approved by the bishops. And for 2016, during the Year of Mercy, the Jubilee Year of Mercy, and in light of the ongoing refugee crisis, our focus for Social Justice Week was on migration. Caritas created resources for all our schools and parishes to reflect on the theme. We all have a migration story, fostering a culture of encounter. The theme was inspired by Pope Francis's 2016 letter for the World Day of Migrants and Refugees. In this letter, he said, Dear brothers and sisters, migrants and refugees, at the heart of the gospel of mercy, the encounter and acceptance by others are intertwined with the encounter and acceptance of God himself. Welcoming others means welcoming God in person. And this inspired all the resources that we created for our parishes and our schools. From this inspiration, you will see the posters, and I've put a whole heap of our resources on a table down here, and you're welcome to take them home because my daughter Catherine has bought lots of sweets, and so I need space in my luggage for those. So please do feel free to take some of the resources that I'm sharing. But we created a poster, and you'll see there is the waka, the boat, there are the British settlers, the people from Europe, and then some of our more recent migrants, along with opening of the doors of mercy for all. There were 3 videos that told the story of welcome, and if there is time, we can play one. The exam and reflection, which we've just handed out. So for us, it was very important that it was approached with a culture of prayer. So inspired by Ignatius of Loyola, we looked at how we could come into God's presence, and either as individuals or groups, we could become conscious of the people that we encounter and look at our own reactions to those encounters and what we could do. We then also looked at how we could celebrate and praise that difference and that diversity that we have, and those gifts that migrants and refugees bring for us. So hopefully Catherine handed out one so that you've all got at least one, but again, there are more if you'd like to take them home. We also created liturgy notes. We helped with prayers of the faithful, and on Sunday, Mass was celebrated, and many parishes had cultural and big celebrations and feasts as well. An important part was the school's resources, and our big poster, which I've actually got the wrong one here, but up on the wall, you'll see we all have a migration story, and we launched this in the Diocese of Auckland with Bishop Pat Dunn, and he got a pen out, and he started with his own story, and he showed how somebody had come from Canada and gone to New Zealand, but that because of another family event, he actually was born somewhere else, but then travelled back to New Zealand. And then the school children who he was sharing his story with then told their stories. There was a child from Iraq. There was another child whose parents, one had come from Canada via Syria, and all these stories came up, and they were wonderful and joyful. And by the end of the time together, the map was covered with lots of different colour pens and lots of different routes all around the world, as we shared our migration stories and why we'd moved to all those different places. If you want to get further introduction to the resources that we created for the schools from year 1 to year 13, including videos, curriculum material, prayers, liturgies, that's all available on our website, or you can pick up one of the maps from over on the table, and there's an outline of all those resources. One teacher commented to us that the theme, "We all have a migration story," allowed students who were generally very quiet to have a voice where their identity, family, and history was valued, and that this could be shared and celebrated with the whole of the community. And following this particular Social Justice Week, we've continued to build in our Social Justice Week those bonds of belonging that are so important for our communities if we're going to follow on and heed Pope Francis's call to protect, to welcome, and to integrate, and promote. And I hope that all of our resources, and in fact everything that we've heard today, help us to do that and to tell the stories of hope. Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. The video, could we play it? Or it depends on how much time. It's about 3.5, 4 minutes. That's okay.
So former refugees, they arrive here with very few of their own personal items and possessions, so it's very important, this part of the process, to put that welcoming feel on it, particularly because they've actually come from places where they've lost their homes and all of their possessions.
My name is Osama Lulu. I am the father of the family. Mona.
My name is Mona. I'm housewife. I start learn English. I love my family. I love volunteer.
After the war that happened in Syria and a very hard time which we faced in Syria, we decided to depart, and we depart from Syria to Egypt. We wait in Egypt as a refugee seeker until the United Nations, cooperating with the New Zealand government under the quota of New Zealand, they send us to New Zealand.
When the former refugees, they arrive, they actually arrive in Mangere, and they're there for 6 weeks, and it's part of their orientation and induction to coming into New Zealand and settling into New Zealand life.
Yeah, it's going to be enough.
So tonight we had the teams of house set-up teams come, and they were coming to pick up the household lots that had been collected by the other parishes' organisations over the last few weeks, and they've been here now to pick them up, ready to take and put in the houses on Thursday night and set the house up.
Packing went really well. Yeah, we've got enough for 3 cars. Absolutely chocker though. Chocker. Lucky we haven't got any more boxes. We'd be struggling, I think. So looking forward to the setup on Thursday. It's going to be great.
People were looking for ways of, what can I do to make a difference? And this seemed to be a very practical and simple way for people to become involved.
Hi. Are we ready to go? Well, hopefully it's going to achieve some happiness for a new family that's coming, a new Kiwi family, because that's what they'll be eventually, Kiwis.
Part of the Year of Mercy is those acts of I was naked and you fed me, I was in prison and you visited me, I was hungry and you fed me.
I don't know, I guess it's the many hands make light work kind of concept. So with lots of people doing a little, you can really make a big impact.
I think when the family walks in, they'll be really surprised and they'll just be like, wow, that's amazing.
Due to the sheer numbers of the February intake and this intake, we've worked in partnership with the churches. They came to us with an offer to help and support, and we weren't going to say no.
That we've got people coming to our country who are New Zealanders. They've been through an experience that I, for instance, would have no idea what they've been through. So I hope that when they first walk in here tomorrow, there's a sense of welcome, a sense of home, and a sense of growing peace.
The first time I was very sad because everything different, but I feel safe. I feel very happy. I like Marcia. I like all volunteers because same family knew.
We couldn't make it so quickly without volunteers. And we are thanks very much for the volunteers who supporting us during our settling here in New Zealand.
That is the mission of the church. I mean, what would Christ have done, you know? Our mission is to be there for the most vulnerable, and these are vulnerable people, and so we're called to do it.